Quibi is shutting down just 6 months after going live. The company was founded in April and since then has been plagued by lack of demand for its shows, the coronavirus, and a bunch of other miscellaneous problems that have spelled the demise of the company. In this video, I'm going to go over in detail why exactly Quibi failed. There's a lot to go through, so try to stay with me. Now, just a quick reminder, these are all just my opinions. It's impossible to say for sure that any of these factors by themselves caused Quibi to go bankrupt. But I believe in aggregate, these factors caused Quibi to become a failed service. Starting with concept. Now, Quibi was originally launched as a mobile-first streaming platform. And there's a lot of questions about whether consumers actually wanted a mobile-first streaming platform. You know, as we'll talk about later in the video, there's already a bunch of different options if you want mobile entertainment. TikTok and Instagram probably being the two biggest players in that market. So there was the question of whether there was a competitive difference between Quibi and its competitors, or if the entire idea of paid short-form content was doomed from the beginning. At least in my opinion, I don't believe that the concept was enough to justify the giant amounts of venture capital that was poured into the service. Quibi raised $1.75 billion on this concept, essentially. Yes, it's great to have high-quality mobile content, but if you have to pay for it, then you instantly have a disadvantage against services like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. It just doesn't seem like a concept that would inherently work. This leads right into my next point, which is that Quibi failed to attract the attention of the masses. Now, there's various reasons for this, one of them being that Quibi had no ability to share screenshots from the shows that you watched on the platform. This meant no memes, no GIFs, and no people talking about the shows on Quibi on social media, which is how shows can easily attract attention in this day and age. You know, the internet has made it easier than ever for people to talk about their favorite shows. But if they don't have visual content in the form of pictures and videos, it becomes so much harder to love and to talk about your favorite shows with your friends. It's impossible for me to take a screenshot of one of my favorite Quibi shows and send it to my friends or to make a meme out of it. Now, to be fair, the company did add this functionality eventually, but it was well after the company first launched when a bunch of new people were trying the product. This just means that less people knew about it. Another thing that led to a lack of attention for the company was its lack of quality shows. Jeffery Katzenberg and Whitman really focused on non-digital creators for its shows. You know, stars like Sophia, whatever her name is, from Game of Thrones, Chance the Rapper with his show. These are all non-digital creators, which is fine. A lot of them can make great content, but why not work with creators like, say, Mr. Beast, who have this amazing audience that are looking for more content from this creator? You know, I can definitely see a world where, you know, Quibi gave Mr. Beast $100,000 to just do an amazing show with, or more, you know? Like, that kind of content would easily sell and would easily make me want to subscribe to Quibi. So why avoid that strategy? I guess at the end of the day, it's a strategy decision. They want to keep the brand premium, and for whatever reason, digital creators aren't exactly seen as the most premium creators. But at the end of the day, it just seems like a little bit of a silly decision to essentially handicap yourself in that way. That's at least my view on it. You know, there was no shows that were kind of like the Game of Thrones for HBO, or The Boys for Amazon Prime, or The Handmaid's Tale for Hulu that really drew people to the service. There was no amazing show that you just had to see on Quibi, and that led, I believe, to their downfall. The lack of high-quality content also made it extremely hard for Quibi to compete with its competitors, which I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. There was one, competition from other streaming services. So this is HBO, Hulu, Netflix, all of the above, you know what I'm saying. And probably, honestly, 5 other streaming services that are going to launch within the next 3 years. Streaming is a booming industry, which created a bunch of competition for Quibi. And as we talked about earlier, was the concept really good enough to differentiate itself from all of its streaming competitors? Some would say so, some would not. There's also competition from other mediums. Just giving the example of Quibi's main draw, which is that it's essentially a service that you can watch 5 to 10 minute videos when you're on your way to something else, whether you're on your way to work or school or class, whatever it may be. It's little bites of short form video for you to consume. But what I think Quibi failed to consider is there's already a bunch of other mediums that you can use on your way to school or work, or on the go essentially. You know, just from personal experience, I love listening to podcasts and music when I'm going to school or to my job. You know, that's kind of my time to listen to new music or to listen to my favorite podcast. There's also the whole idea that you can already look at services like TikTok and Instagram to get short form video. The option becomes you can either look at Quibi for 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it may be, or you could just watch TikTok and watch, I don't know, like 15 videos in the span of like 5 minutes or so. Do people really want to spend these 5 to 10 minute intervals in the car, or not in the car because you can't watch video in the car when you're driving, but on the train, whatever, to their job, to school? Do people really want to spend that interval watching Netflix style videos? I don't personally see the value, but as always, let me know if you disagree in the comments. The last factor that I believe led to Quibi's shutdown was its management. Now, in many ways, Jeffery, Katzenberg, and Whitman were pretty good co-CEOs of Quibi. They had a bunch of experience in the entertainment industry, and their connections, combined with their business acumen, is probably why the service got off to a relatively good start. You know, they raised a bunch of money, they had these amazing shows with A-list stars, and they had a bunch of ad deals that they sold before the company even launched. But I believe that Jeffery Katzenberg made a huge blunder when he essentially blamed the failings of Quibi on the coronavirus, 100% of it. I just don't think this inherently makes sense. Yes, your entire value proposition is being disrupted by the coronavirus, but at the same time, people can still watch mobile video at home. You know, people watch Netflix on their phone all the time. At least in my opinion, it seems a little bit disingenuous to say that the entire reason your service is failing is because of the coronavirus. Especially when streaming numbers are almost universally up because of the fact that everyone has to stay inside. People are watching more online video than ever before. Altogether, I believe that Katzenberg and Whitman and their experience running Quibi is a great example of the hot hand fallacy, which is essentially the idea that past successes are indicative of future successes as well. All these venture capitalists probably looked at Katzenberg and Whitman and their amazing experiences and thought, how could this thing not be a success? Unfortunately for them, there were some fundamental problems with the streaming market, the competition, and the concept of the service that made it almost impossible for Quibi to succeed. RIP Quibi, you will be missed.